Today we're starting out in my kitchen, and we're starting with the Sonos Connect. Most people will recognize this from a visit to their local big box retailer like Best Buy or here Saturn or MediaMarkt. And this is a network streamer. Music comes in from the internet or across the network and goes out through digital outputs or analog outputs. And last year I made a video called What's Better Than a Sonos Connect? And really I should have called it What Sounds Better Than a Sonos Connect? Because if we move away from big box retailers and into specialist hi-fi stores, we come across more interesting products, also on the internet. So we've got the Bluesound Node 2. This is not the 2i version, this is the 2 version. This to me sounds much better than the Sonos Connect, as does the AURALiC Aries Mini. And then online we can find this product here. This is the ALLO Boss DAC streamer. It looks a bit homebrew. That's because it's a Raspberry Pi based unit. That's generally fairly typical of Raspberry Pi based units. You save money by not spending on expensive casework. And then last week we looked at the Echo Link from Amazon. This does not sound as good as the Sonos Connect, not quite. It's probably the worst sounding streamer I've ever heard. But that's just to provide context here. But today we will look at another product that emphatically sounds better than our Sonos Connect. So Volumio are an Italian company who are probably better known for the software that they make for Raspberry Pi based streamers. And it's also interesting that Project tapped Volumio's talents for a customized version of that operating system for their Streambox S2 Ultra streamer. So now Volumio have made their own network streamer. It's called the Primo. It's in a very solid case. And this is the connectivity on the back. We see analog outputs, and they connect directly to an amplifier or a pair of powered loudspeakers. We've got a SPDIF digital output. That's for connecting to a DAC. We've got 4 USB sockets. We've got an Ethernet input, streaming input. This is for Wi-Fi fans. Power input, obviously. It's a switch mode brick. And then this HDMI socket is for connecting an external display. I really hope these are the right screws. This is not a Raspberry Pi inside. It's still a small board computer, but this one comes from Asus. It's called the Tinkberboard. Its main difference, I believe, is that the Ethernet and the USB do not share the same data bus. So this is the Asus Tinkberboard, this smaller board here. And you can see it's connected to a larger board with this connector here. So this is the audio board provided by Volumio. Also, we see that the SPDIF signal comes off the Tinkberboard, not off the audio board. I think that's kind of interesting. So I'm using a Hegel H590 amplifier. It's a big integrated to power these DensoTEN loudspeakers. The Hegel has an inbuilt DAC and a streamer, but I was just using the DAC section and I was streaming to it using the DigiOne from ALLO. So I disconnected that and then connected the Volumio Primo digitally using a coax cable into the DAC on the back of the Hegel. And I did not notice a huge drop in performance, which is quite telling. I mean, the Primo doesn't have that last ounce of liquidity that the ALLO unit has, but it's pretty damn good as a digital source. So yeah, I want to talk about the Primo sound quality first before we get to some more interesting stuff. And then I spent some time listening to the Primo's analog output, so using its internal DAC, which is an ESS Sabre DAC. And what I found was that the Primo absolutely trounces both the Echo Link from Amazon and the Sonos Connect in terms of sound quality. So they're not really in the frame when it comes to being audible rivals. Then I compared it to the AURALiC Aries Mini. The Primo and the Aries Mini are quite similar in their presentation. They have a very exciting, somewhat bombastic presentation, which means that then comparing the Primo to the ALLO Boss DAC, we get a little bit more excitement from the Primo, a little bit less tonal richness than we would get from the ALLO Boss DAC. And then perhaps the strongest contender in all of this is the Bluesound Node 2. I emphasize again, this is the Node 2, I don't have the 2i. And I prefer the Primo sound to the Node 2. I think it's a little bit more detailed, better separation, and player outlines are probably more deeply etched. So I quite like that with my gear. So you can see that I'm using Ethernet to stream to the Primo. I'm not using Wi-Fi. You can use Wi-Fi. I haven't done the experiment to work out which one sounds better. My money would be on Ethernet, but you can never be sure. Not until you try it for yourself. In terms of protocols, the Primo does UPnP. I don't, but you can. You can use JRiver, Audivana, Minim, Bubble UPnP to stream from elsewhere in your house to this streamer. Room Ready certification is still being worked on. As far as I know, it's some weeks off, could be some months. Again, we don't know. It's not ready until it's ready. It's not Room Ready until it's Room Ready. Instead, if we want to integrate this into a Roon system, we have to fall back to the Airplay, the Shairport plugin, which is pre-installed because that comes as part of the Volumio operating system. And it's that Volumio operating system that I've been using to play music from Tidal, Qobuz, Spotify, so these three, plus music from a hard drive directly connected via USB to the back of the Primo. So then it becomes a server and a streamer all in one using the Volumio operating system. So here I've got a web browser running on my smartphone. I've accessed Volumio on this. And there are two things I really like about Volumio on any platform. The first thing is it's super fast. It's very easy and it's very responsive in terms of navigation. You can see me accessing my hard drive contents here. It's very snappy, to use an Apple term. The second thing I like about it is it's super simple. Like anybody could use this. I could get my parents to use this without too much of an issue. But there is a catch. And the catch is that if we want to integrate Tidal and Qobuz into our Primo hardware, we have to pony up €3 a month for the privilege. We basically subscribe to Volumio's Virtuoso plan, which gives us Tidal and Qobuz integration on a single device. So I have mixed feelings about this. If I've already paid for the Tidal subscription and the Qobuz subscription, I'm having to pay another €3 on top per month just to integrate those into the Primo. We access Volumio OS, any web browser, volumio.local gets us there. You can see a selection of my local music library here. This is some of the music that I used to determine the Primo's sound quality. Future Sound of London, The Hold Steady. Two very, very different types of music. This is ambient and ambient techno. This is American guitar, indie rock. You can see this is where I would access my library, my music library. That's obviously the hard drive connected to the Primo. And here we've got access to Tidal and Qobuz. I go Tidal, and I can even search in Tidal. Earlier on, I was looking for some Eat Static. There it is. Anyway, that's Tidal. We can access that from there. You can see this browse button here and the rotating arrows here. That means that the Primo is still indexing my library. So you can see this is the now playing screen. I'm playing some AC acoustics. Scottish band from the 90s, I believe. So yeah, this is the Volumio layout. You can see I've got a cue playing here. I can see the music I have played previously. But what I like about the Volumio Primo is that it doesn't require us to have a server elsewhere. It's a server and a streamer when we attach the hard drive to the side. So it's a self-contained system. And my lacy, rugged hard drive here is very quiet, and I don't hear it moving when I'm sitting listening over here. And Volumio will index the entire library, about 3 terabytes worth, in roughly half an hour, which I think is pretty fast. So as a complete system, it's great. But the Volumio software's plugin section offers us yet another possibility to stream locally, at home, and also from the cloud, from the internet. So the Volumio OS has a plugin section, and here you can see that it gives us options for Logitech Media Server and Squeezelite. So it transforms the Primo, which is down here in my rack, into a Squeezebox server and a Squeezebox player all in one, so it streams to itself. So what installing Squeezebox server and Squeezelite does is it opens us up to the world of Squeezebox control apps. This is Orange Squeeze for Android. I love this app for one killer feature. If I just browse new music, so this is the music that's been indexed by Squeezebox server. The music sits on the lacy orange hard drive that's connected to the Primo. And if I click, for example, there's a Chemical Brothers Node Geography. If I click on this context menu here, I can go download to the device and then click download. And that will now start downloading the music from the Logitech Media Server or Squeezebox server from there to my phone. But that's an aside, because the other reason that I like using Squeezebox server is if I go to My Apps, you can see that I've integrated, using plugins inside Squeezebox server, I've integrated Qobuz, Tidal, but also SoundCloud, and there are plugins for Mixcloud and Deezer, and Spotify is for Spotify. So I can integrate all of these into the Primo without spending the €3 on the Volumio subscription. So as somebody who started his digital audio streaming life with Squeezebox devices, I'm super impressed that Volumio have optioned that as part of their own hardware streamer. I would be amazed if the Squeezebox Touch sounded better than this. This is a very good sounding streamer, both digitally and analog wise. It's a nicely made product, it's solid. And the other thing I really like about it is it doesn't reek of that homebrew vibe that many small board computer streamers give us. This feels like a finished product, and a very competent one at that. For me, this is probably the go-to stand-in for the AURALiC Aries Mini, which is now discontinued. So I think that makes the Primo from Volumio very attractive-o. If you like this video, you know what to do with the like button. If you dig the fact that this channel shows you products, lesser known products, that trump the Sonos Connect in terms of sound quality, if not in streaming support, then please subscribe to the channel. We do lots of streamers like this. And as always, thank you so much for watching. Why did I say attractivo? Attractivo. Yeah. We're going to end on that.